lot of people always say, oh man, the traffic in Santo Domingo is crazy. Like, I don't know how people can drive over there. I'll be too nervous. Oh man, it's ridiculous. This video, I just want to show y'all, man, that all of that people be saying is just nonsense. It is not hard to drive out here in Santo Domingo. Look, I'm in the center of the city where most of the traffic is, and I'm just going like normal. So I just want to talk a little bit about that because I feel like a lot of people are misleading other people who come here to the country and are complaining about traffic being crazy or not being able to just like maintain a lane, or you know what I'm saying, just overthinking it and thinking that just because you get out and you're on the road that you're gonna get in an accident. They try to say, oh, that there's so many deaths per year and car crashes and motorcycle crashes and stuff like that, but honestly, it's not like that. You know, if you come from the United States, right? Let's say that you lived in a town there that didn't even have 100,000 people, right? Because a lot of people who come to the Dominican Republic, I mean, you also gotta, when you're getting like advice from people, you also want to look at their background and where they come from. Because just because a person comes from the United States and they're American, and then you meet them here in Dominican Republic, it doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are the same, if that makes sense. Like, you're not gonna always have everything in common. You know, they have some people that come from these small towns that really don't have traffic. They don't have traffic jams, you know, they don't have highway systems like big cities like in Dallas or Seattle or Atlanta or Tampa, Florida, or Miami, New York City, you know, New Jersey, you know, Chicago, Omaha, Houston. Like, these are all big cities, right, in the United States. But you'll be surprised that there's a lot of people that come from the United States that come from these smaller towns, and they just don't have that type of traffic, you know. There's not people driving fast, you know what I mean? There's nobody racing on the interstate, you know, there's no traffic jam. So they come to Santo Domingo and they're like, oh man, the traffic here is crazy. For one, there's a lot of motorcycles on the road, as you can see. You know, there's people using motorcycles like for business, like for their work. You know, they're doing like a taxi service or a moto taxi. You know, there's people that just regularly commute because it's cheaper on gas. So it's definitely going to be a difference there when you're speaking about traffic. Another thing that's going to be different in Santo Domingo as opposed to being in the States is the complete lack or regard of certain type of driving etiquette. So, for example, you know, if someone wants to get over, right, you put on your signal and then you get over. A lot of the times, people here don't use their turn signal. You know, and it's really not crazy. Honestly, a lot of that stuff, I look at it as like a convenience. Because when you drive in America, as opposed to driving here in Dominican Republic, the driving here, like look at this car. You see this car just stop right in the middle, almost stopping traffic just so he can, you know, do a U-turn here. Like, something like that, you'll go to jail or get a ticket if you're in the United States. So that's like a huge difference when it comes to that. But the point I'm trying to make is there's differences here because it's a different country. But it doesn't mean that it's crazy. What happens is people are just not used to a lot of traffic because they're not from bigger cities. You know what I mean? If you go to New York or you go to New Jersey, you're going to see motorcycles and stuff. It's not going to be odd for you to see those type of vehicles or motor vehicles on the road. So I just want to cut the confusion and get right to it and just say, don't let people dissuade you from coming down here and getting your own transportation and moving around. Because honestly, it's freeing. You can get up and you can go wherever you want. Speed limits are not really posted out here, but speed is, it's like common sense, you know. you know, just based on the flow of traffic, if you're going to be speeding or not. You know, you just go with the flow of traffic. Everything in the capital when you're driving is just about flow. You know what I mean? They pay attention to like the street lights, red, green, yellow. But if there's no traffic and you get a red light, are you just gonna sit there? No, just take the light. No one's around, and that's not a bad thing. If you're trying to compare it to the States and be like, oh man, this is bad, then yeah, it might be bad to you and your perspective. But when you come to a new country and you see things that are different than what you have experienced in your home country, it doesn't necessarily make it bad. It's you gotta adapt to the actual culture that you're in. Because the culture is different, the driving culture is different, everything is different. So if you adapt, you have a better experience. And I just wanted to make that point. I love driving in Santo Domingo.